And now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Mr. Robert Montgomery in The Thing in the Window, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Autolite has been getting letter after letter from car owners who have switched from narrow gap spark plugs to wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. And they all agree that wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs make their cars idle smoother, give better performance with leaner gas mixtures, actually save gas dollars. And here's another amazing fact. These folks noticed that wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs actually cut down spark plug interference with radio and television reception. So, friends, head for your nearest Autolite dealer to replace your narrow gap spark plugs with wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. You and your engine will be mighty happy that you did.
And now, Autolite presents Robert Montgomery in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Mary?
Yes, Mr. Ames?
Turn that vacuum cleaner off for a minute, will you, and come over here? I want to show you something.
Yes, sir.
Right here, out this window. Now look across the street, directly across the opposite apartment. See that window, about 3 windows in from the left, with kind of blue draperies.
Uh-huh.
There's something sitting there in a chair. Someone. He hasn't moved all night. I think he must be dead.
Dead? Oh, Lord of mercy, Mr. Ames.
Take a good look at him and tell me what you think, Mary.
Okay, but I don't favor looking at no corpses, Mr. Ames. It's unlucky. Now, which window did you say? Third one over. Wished I had my glasses
No,
with me.
over there, where my finger is pointing.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't see it yet, Mr. Ames.
No, look, the window with the blue draperies. He's wearing a sort of gray suit. The arm. Can't you see the arm hanging down over the side of the chair?
No, but you got good eyes, Mr. Ames. If you see it, I'm not arguing with you. What you going to do about it, Mr. Ames?
Well, I don't know. I just began to notice it last night. I guess I first have to find out if the man is really dead.
Yeah?
Hello. I'm Martin Ames. Are you the superintendent of this apartment house?
That's what it says on the door.
I've come to inquire about one of your tenants.
What is it you want to know?
Well, I live across the street, and, I'll be frank with you, sir. I've been looking out my window across to this building now for 2.5 days, and there seems to be someone dead in one of the windows.
Yeah? Which window?
Well, it's on the 10th floor. I've counted up from the street, and it's 10 stories up. There's the window with blue draperies, about 3 windows in from the left, facing toward me, that is, and there's a man sitting there, slumped down in a chair.
Just a minute. I'll get out my chart. 10th floor up from the street. That's the 9th floor. The lobby counts 1. We got 3 apartments there along the front of the house. It's in the front.
That's right.
Now, 3 windows in from the left. That'd be 9B, a
Yes.
4-room. No, it couldn't be right. 9B is 2 ladies, and you say this is a man?
Yes.
Young or old?
Well, I can't tell. The face isn't clearly visible. The head's slumped forward, but he's wearing a gray suit, and he's sitting in a high, wing-back chair.
Don't place him.
Well, maybe he doesn't belong in the house. Maybe he was visiting somebody. As I say, this is all conjecture, of course. He may not be dead, but I've watched him a good deal. I'm home a lot in the daytime. My profession, the stage, doesn't take up too much of my time, and it looks mighty suspicious.
Okay, I'll check it.
Do you mind if I stay around?
No. Sit down. I'll give 9B a ring first on the house phone.
Hello?
Miss Landis?
Yes, this is Miss Landis. Who is this?
It's Mr. Anson, the super. Everything all right up there, Miss Landis?
Everything all right? Well, yes, of course.
Okay, Miss Landis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's that. No soap on 9B. 9A's in the country. 9C isn't home. I just saw her go out. I'll go up there a little later and take a look around.
Well, what about this 9A, the people in the country?
Well, maybe. They're an old couple. He could have come back and had a heart attack up there by himself.
Or maybe somebody else. Some other person could have been using the apartment while they were away.
Maybe. I'll take a look in anyway. Only if I got the window straight like you said, it ought to be 9B.
Oh. The two single ladies?
Yeah, only it couldn't be them. They're real old maids. Say, if they knew you thought there was a man in that apartment, the two of them would just about jump out of their skins.
Well, I don't know what to say. If you're sure, it must be that apartment.
Oh, yeah, that's the place. But you probably just made a little mistake. You know how your eyes can play tricks on you? After all, it is quite a wide street.
No, I don't think I made any mistake.
Hanson speaking.
Oh, hello, Mr. Anson. This is Mr. Ames.
Again? It's not there.
But, Mr. Anson...
I checked up on the 3 apartments this morning. No dead bodies in the whole place.
But I can see it. It's still there.
Okay, just where? Just tell me where.
In that same window, the one you said was 9B. Have you gone inside 9B?
No, but I asked them if anybody was sick or dead, and they said no.
You asked them? Why don't you search the apartment?
Me? You mean break in?
No. Just ring the bell and walk in and do it.
Yeah? Not without a search warrant from the police. These apartments, don't belong to me. I just take care of the building for the company.
Well, then let's call the police.
Not me, mister. I didn't see no dead body up there.
Then I will. After all, somebody's got to do something.
I still maintain, officer, these two sisters are as refined ladies as you could find anywhere. High-class church-going ladies. They used to teach school up here at PS 13.
Yeah, that don't mean a thing.
And they got a dog in there. Now, will you tell me one dog that would stay for almost a week in a flat with a dead person?
I'm not telling you nothing. All I know, this gentleman, Mr. Ames, reported a stiff over here. And if he says there is one, there is. Till it's proved different. Right, Mr. Ames?
Well, I keep seeing the thing day in and day out. I'm not working at the moment at being home so much.
None of the other neighbors have complained. Dead bodies ain't exactly... Okay. Right this way, please. I hope they're home.
Well, if they ain't home, you got a pass key, haven't you?
Yeah, but we're not supposed to use it, though, unless for an emergency.
This is an emergency. The dog bite?
Sometimes.
Quiet, baby, quiet. Yes, who is it?
I'm awful sorry, Miss Landis, but there's been some kind of a mix-up. These two gentlemen want to look over your apartment.
But why? It's not for rent.
I know.
Come on. Cut out the palaver. Look, lady, a dead body's been reported sitting in one of your windows.
What?
Yeah. This guy lives across the street, and he's been seeing it over here for a week. So come on now, open up.
Dead body, but that's impossible. My sister and I live here all alone.
Yeah, we know all about it.
Excuse me a minute. I'll call my sister. Vivian!
Come on.
Vivian! It's the police!
Look, lady, I'm not standing here all day. Anson, give me the pass.
It won't do no good. They got a chain on the door from the inside.
Open up in the name of the law.
How do you do? I'm Vivian Landis. May I ask what this is all about, please?
Certainly, lady. I got a search warrant here and complaint of this gentleman. He says you got a dead body in there.
A dead body? Why, that's perfectly ridiculous.
Yeah, isn't it? But it's been reported, and kindly take that door off the chain and let us through.
Of course. But first, may I ask, how did this peeping Tom see into our apartment? I thought, Mr. Anson, that we were quite private.
He lives across the street on the same level.
Oh? Well, then we shall have to keep our shades down in the future. Although one would think a grown man would have something better to do. But do come in, gentlemen. Make yourselves right at home.
Thanks.
Is he coming in here, too, Mr. Busybody?
No, he doesn't have to if you don't want him to.
Well, I most definitely don't.
Okay, Mr. Ames, you better stay outside.
Yes, but, officer,
Oh, he does want to poke around in our private rooms. Is that it? Maybe he had some ulterior motive in worming his way in. Maybe he's come to get the lay of the land, so he can break in someday to rob us.
Okay. He's not coming in. Now, let's take a look at your window, lady. Ames.
Yes, officer?
What's the big idea?
You didn't find it?
No.
That's very strange.
Yeah? The only thing strange about it is your eyesight. You ought to get your glasses changed.
There wasn't anything in 9B?
No.
I don't understand it. How could I have seen it so distinctly and it not there? But perhaps Perhaps it isn't in the window now. Perhaps they hid it while we were waiting outside that door.
Hid it? Now, where does one hide a dead body in a 4-room flat? I looked in all the clothes closets, under the sofas, in the chest.
Well, perhaps they got it out with some help. What about that fellow Anson? He acted so nervous and subservient.
Maybe, but I doubt it. Anson's been running this house a long time, and he's a family man. It'd be taking an awful chance.
I see. But you probably think that... You know, it's so terrible to keep seeing it, feeling that it's slowly decaying in there in secret. Why, the thing could be there for weeks. It's so high above the street, and it only seems to be visible from my apartment. Do you think if you investigated those two women...
Investigated them? How? I searched their flat.
I mean their whereabouts for the last couple of weeks, their backgrounds. Perhaps if you had them followed...
By what right? On the grounds that you say you saw a dead man in the window? There ain't no legal corpus delicti. And don't you think so, my friend?
I know. That's the awful part of it for me. Legally, my hands are tied until the actual body is found, but perhaps it'll never be found. Perhaps it's already being destroyed.
Well, then if it's gone, what have you got to worry about? You won't have to sit and look at it no more.
No, I hope it is. I tell you, it's really getting me down. I haven't slept for nights keeping vigil. I'm in a nervous state, and I haven't been this nervous in years.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, why don't you try forgetting it for a while? Try not to look over into that window, or go away for a change. You done what you could, Mr. Ames. If there is a stiff over there, well, that's my business, ain't it? And if there isn't...
You mean... You think I may be...
I'm not saying nothing, Mr. Ames, but if I was you, I'd try catching up on my night's sleep.
Hello?
Miss Landis, I'm sorry to disturb you at this time of night, but I'm desperate. I haven't anywhere else to turn.
What? Who is this?
This is Mr. Ames, Martin Ames, your neighbor, the one across the street.
Oh,
Now, please don't think me a pest, Miss Landis. I didn't mean to annoy you. It was only because I was so desperate that I initiated this search.
quite all right. Goodbye.
No. Now, please don't hang up, because it's worse now than it ever was. Miss Landis, I've been sitting here opposite your apartment, staring into your windows, and I'm only asking you to help me, Miss Landis. Help me just a little.
Help you?
It's still there, Miss Landis.
What is still there?
The dead body in your window.
But there isn't. How dare you, when the police...
I know now it hasn't anything to do with you. But would you do me just one favor, Miss Landis? Would you go into your living room and check just once more?
I won't. I'll do nothing of the kind. You're out of your mind.
Perhaps I am, Miss Landis. That's what I'm trying to find out.
And anyway, I don't see how you can see in. I pulled the shades down in there yesterday morning.
Yes, I know. They're all down still.
And how can you see?
I can't. At least not the actual body. It's just the silhouette. I'm not maligning you or your sister, Miss Landis. If there's someone dead in there, it's not you who are doing it, but think of me. If you could just be here and look over and see the shadow of those quiet fingers and that shoulder and that head.
Oh, please, stop it. Stop it. It's not here. It isn't.
Tell me just one thing, Miss Landis. There is a chair by that window, though, isn't there?
Yes, there's a chair.
A high-backed wing chair.
Yes.
And have you anything on it? Anything piled up, I mean, like curtains or cushions or a dressmaker's dummy?
Oh, of course not.
Then would you do me just one more favor, Miss Landis, please? As an experiment, would you just go into the living room and move that chair away from that window?
If I do it, will you stop pestering us? Will you let us alone forever?
Yes, if it works.
What do you mean? Do you mean...
I can't tell you, Miss Landis, until you move the chair.
Oh, all right. I moved it away from the window. It's at the other end of the room, and there's nothing in it. It's empty.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Miss Landis. I know what I have to do now. Yes, Miss Landis. It's still there.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. Robert Montgomery in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Hap, what have these stars around here got that I haven't got?
Why, let's see, Harlow. Fan mail?
Well, by Cornelius, I got you there. I've got fan mail, too. Leastwise, Autolite resistor spark plugs has.
And by happy coincidence, you just happen to have a letter here.
Right you are. One from Mr. Neil Miller of Longmont, Colorado, who says in his letter, Dear Harlow, that's me, a short time ago I put a set of Autolite resistor spark plugs in my new car. And let me tell you, they more than live up to the peerless, punchy, power-packed Wilcox praise you give them on Suspense.
That guy's got the facts down.
He sure has. And the letter goes on, since I switched to wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs, my car idles smoother, gives better performance at low speeds, and runs better on lean gas mixtures. What's more, I noticed that Autolite resistor spark plugs cut down spark plug interference with my own and friends' radios. What do you think of that, Hap?
He should be writing your material.
Well, friends, Autolite resistor spark plugs give you all the advantages Mr. Miller writes about because of its unique built-in resistor. And only Autolite offers car and truck owners everywhere the sensational advantages of Autolite resistor spark plugs. So switch to wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs tomorrow. Remember, you're right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Robert Montgomery as Martin Ames in Lucille Fletcher's story, The Thing in the Window. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. When you can plainly see a corpse in the window of an apartment across the street, a corpse that no one else can see, not even the police you send to investigate, what are you to think? And what are the tenants of that other apartment to think?
Oh, Miss Landis.
Where is it? I want to see it at once.
Yes, Miss Landis, come in. I do hope you'll excuse my appearance. I've just passed another sleepless night.
So has my sister, and so have I. What do you mean by all this business, Mr. Ames? You frightened my poor sister nearly to death, seeing things that aren't there when you know they're not.
I know they're not. I wish they weren't. I wish to heaven I'd never looked out that window. I wish these walls were solid stone, and your walls, too.
You're a sick man, Mr. Ames.
Oh, am I? I wish I were. But I'm perfectly sane and well. I went to a psychiatrist yesterday, and guess what he told me? There's nothing wrong with me, nothing.
I can't believe that.
To you, I suppose it's a form of madness to persist in seeing this hideous image. But not to me, Miss Landis. I've finally come to an entirely different conclusion.
And what is that?
The supernatural.
The supernatural? A ghost? What nonsense, Mr. Ames.
Yes, I suppose it is nonsense to you, isn't it? You've been a school teacher. You believe in logic, common sense, the things that give a pretense of solidity to this frail little life of ours. But I'm an artist. I've always had a feeling for the thing beyond, the intangible, the shadowy. And sometimes out of the shadows we glimpse the yawning fangs of the eternal.
You put things rather oddly, Mr. Ames. Just exactly what do you mean?
Simply this. I checked on that building with the real estate agents yesterday afternoon after I'd left my psychiatrist, and there was a murder.
In our apartment?
The report didn't say. You know how they try to hush these things up, but it was a man, a young man, the lover of one of the tenants, a Miss Sweetser.
Sweetser? Why, that's the name of the people who lived there before us. But they were an elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Sweetser. I never saw any Miss Sweetser.
She died. She was the daughter. She killed herself afterwards by jumping out one of the windows.
Oh, how perfectly awful.
It's rather a ghastly coincidence, isn't it?
Was it out our window?
Who knows? She must have been a very neurotic person, though, this Miss Sweetser. Half crazed almost with love or jealousy. I checked on the details in an old newspaper. She cut his throat, nearly decapitated him. And it said that when they lifted his body out of the chair later...
Excuse me, Mr. Ames. I'd rather not hear. I still can't believe... If there is something, if there could possibly be something, why haven't we seen it, too? Why should you...
Haven't you seen it, Miss Landis?
No.
You're sure? Never? Perhaps in the middle of the night, getting up and passing that room, seeing that chair outlined against the window.
Oh.
Just in passing, perhaps. You've never had a glimpse.
No. I really must be going.
No. Please stay and look at it. I want you to see it out of my window.
My sister Elaine, she's so nervous. I just can't leave her alone so long.
But then how will I know, Miss Landis? I thought you came here especially. It'll only take a minute. It's right here in this bedroom. I just have to let up the Venetian blind. Miss Landis. Miss Landis. Hello? Sergeant? This is Ames, Martin Ames. I just called to let you know that I think you're right about that good night's sleep. Yes, I'm going away tomorrow for a long rest. Shutting up my apartment. Yes, I'm all tied up in knots. I don't know what to think. Oh, they did. Yes, I saw the moving van in front of the house, but I didn't know it was those sisters. Couldn't take it, eh? Well, I can't take it much longer myself.
Well, Marty, bravo, bravissimo, old boy.
Not so loud. Well, the mystery. The superintendent here doesn't like me.
I should think he would not like you. Grabbing this beautiful apartment right from under his nose, he probably had it promised to a friend.
But you've got it now, Ronald, just as I said.
So I have, old boy, so I have. And it's beautiful. I'm crazy about it. You've outdone yourself. You've been more than generous.
Think nothing of it, Ronald. I'm glad to do it. For such a distinguished colleague.
It certainly was nice of you. And I wish I could do something in return, Marty. I really do. Perhaps that play I'm doing next season. There's a part in it, a very small part, but very necessary.
Thanks just the same, but I'm doing pretty well just now, Ronald.
Oh.
Do you, like the place, Ronald?
Like it? Look at that living room, those gorgeous casement windows. It's like a stage. And what a place for parties. I don't know how you found it, Martin, this housing shortage. You must have a sweetheart in the real estate business.
Oh, I managed.
Why, when your call came, I wouldn't trust this to anyone but myself. I left the whole cast just standing there on the stage while I came over. Tell me, how did you do it?
Oh, it's rather a long story. Let's sit down, shall we? Here, in the living room. No. You take the chair.
Oh.
I guess they must have left it when they moved out. Well, to be frank, Ronald, I got this apartment by a ruse.
A ruse? What kind of a ruse?
Oh, it was a nasty one, all right. I frightened the last tenants away. I told them I saw a dead man sitting here in this window.
Oh, no, not really. How clever of you. But, of course, there wasn't.
No, of course not. I made him up out of whole cloth. You see, I live across the street, directly across, in that apartment with the striped curtains.
Oh?
They were very scary women. I used to watch them from my own place, always going to bed early, always pulling down the shades at night. Then there was this chair by the window. That very one that you're sitting in now.
Really?
One night, just sitting there late, I got an amusing thought. There was a kind of shadow across the chair that night. Reminded me a little bit of a corpse. It came to me that it might be fun to create a part, a character, a corpse that wasn't there.
I don't follow you quite.
Some actors need a play, Ronald, to create a role. Others, the great ones, work out their own dramas. I proceeded to invent a part for myself. I was the eyewitness, the innocent bystander across the street who saw the corpse in here. I kept seeing it, and finally, by the power of suggestion, it became real enough to frighten them away.
Oh, it's very clever, but rather drastic.
Not at all. Proved my point, didn't it?
Oh, yes.
And it got you the apartment.
Well, really, that was very kind.
I've always hoped we'd be neighbors, Ronald. As a matter of fact, the whole idea for this thing came to me on that day last May when you turned me down for that part. Outside of Sardis, do you remember? You said you were looking for a place then.
Did I?
Oh, yes. It was then that I first thought how nice it would be to see you. Right across the street, sitting in this window. I simply had to bring it about. That was the night I went to work on the thing in earnest.
Mother.
No, Ronald, don't get up. I'm not through.
Oh, really, old boy? I'm afraid the gang at the theater, they don't even know I'm here.
They'll wait. People always wait for you, don't they, Ronald? Could call them for you, of course, but the phone's been disconnected.
I'm afraid which way's the door, old boy? Really, Monty, it's been very kind
What's
of you.
the matter? Don't you like the apartment? Aren't you going to take it after all my work?
Oh, yes, I like it very much, but The door's locked.
Yes, Ronald. I'm afraid you'll have to find your way out.
Oh!
That'll keep you quieter. Silence always became you better than all that ranting and glibness and charm, Ronald. And now, I've got the part for you. A part to end all parts. You play it, of course. Entirely in a chair. There isn't much action. Not a line to say. You just sit, Ronald. You sit in this chair by the window. It'll be the greatest performance of your career. You liked to hog all the fattest roles for yourself, didn't you? Well, this is a part that's been talked about up and down this street for weeks. You'll play the part of a ghost, of a corpse that never was, an hallucination in my brain. And who'll be your audience? I will. I, the insignificant, outmoded ham who wasn't fit to appear in your precious plays, but good enough to put you here. Who's the better actor now, Ronald? Goodbye, Ronald. No one will see me go out, but I'll see you across the street.
Okay, Miss Landis, I got the pass key right here.
That's so kind of you, Mr. Ransom. Personally, I begged her to leave the old thing here and had you throw it out, but Elaine insisted.
It's Mr. Ames.
Ames? Yes, I was just going. I couldn't resist coming up and making one final check just for myself. The door seemed to be open, and anyway, the illusion's quite vanished. Quite. There's nothing there.
Really, Mr. Ames? That's good. All right, Mr. Ransom. Will you ask the moving men to go in there now and take away the chair?
Thank you, Robert Montgomery, for a splendid performance.
Say, Hap, before we hear from Robert Montgomery again, did I ever tell you that thousands of car and truck owners from coast to coast have switched to Autolite resistor spark plugs?
Without a doubt, huh?
They know that wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs make cars idle smoother, give better performance with leaner gas mixtures, actually save gas dollars. And they also know that Autolite makes more than 400 automotive, aviation, and marine products in 28 plants from coast to coast. So switch to Autolite, because only Autolite offers car and truck owners everywhere the sensational advantages of resistor-type spark plugs. You're right with Autolite. And remember, Autolite means spark plug.
Ignition-engineered resistor spark plug.
Autolite means batteries.
Stay full battery.
Autolite means ignition system.
The lifeline of your car. And now, here again is Mr. Robert Montgomery.
It has been a great pleasure to return to Suspense. And I wish to thank the splendid cast which Tony Leader assembled for tonight's performance. Too, I want to call your attention to the very unusual program planned for next week, when radio's outstanding theater of thrills will bring you Jim and Marion Jordan, Fibber McGee and Molly, and a special story called Backseat Driver, another gripping story in
Suspense.
Robert Montgomery may currently be seen in the Warner Brothers picture June Bride. Tonight's suspense play was written by Lucille Fletcher. Music was composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. Remember Thursday, hear Fibber McGee and Molly in Backseat Driver.
This is the Autolite Suspense Show. Remember, you're right with Autolite. So switch to Autolite.
Thousands of polio victims need your help. Join the March of Dimes today. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. And now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Fibber McGee and Molly in Backseat Driver, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Say, Harlow, looks like Old Home Week on Suspense tonight.
Old Home Week, Hap? Well, I wouldn't say that. Not with millions of Autolite resistor spark plugs finding new homes in every make of car in America.
Well, I know, Harlow. I meant Old Home Week because...
Why, Hap, there just isn't going to be any old or new home for more and more narrow gap spark plugs because they're being replaced in their old homes by wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. With Autolite resistor spark plugs, your car, my car, Fibber's car, everybody's car idles smoother, gives better performance with lean gas mixtures, saves gas dollars, and cuts down spark plug interference with radio and television reception. There's one way for every car to be spark plugged right with Autolite resistor spark plugs. Only Autolite offers car and truck owners everywhere the sensational advantages of the resistor type spark plug.
And now, Autolite presents Fibber McGee and Molly in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It can't happen to you. You read about stuff like that in the papers. Girls murdered and mutilated, drunks left dying in the gutter for the handful of change they had in their pockets, lonesome old men tortured because some hoodlum gets the idea they're misers with a pot of gold hidden under the floorboards of the shack. Sure, you know it's real, but it can't happen to you. Oh, you get your fair share of trouble. I've been a professional man here in Los Angeles for 30 years. I've met up with bums and grifters and petty sharpers. They're around in any business. But the viciousness, the real deep-down dirt, that's for somebody else. You do your work and go home to your family. And for a real bang-up evening to break the monotony, you take your wife out to a movie. That's what I did that Saturday night. We'd driven all the way in from the San Fernando Valley to Beverly Hills for a picture Ellie especially wanted to see.
Wasn't that a good movie, Joe?
Uh-huh.
Just the kind I like. Songs and dancing and girls in pretty clothes. I get so tired of cops and robbers.
What's wrong with cops and robbers?
Oh, you know what I mean. Murder movies. Honestly, all the policemen stupid and all the crooks sneering out of the corners of their mouths.
Yeah, the stuff those Hollywood boys dream up. You'd think the streets were knee-deep in blood and you couldn't hear yourself think for machine guns.
Yeah.
Well, here we are, honey.
You get in first.
Okay. All right, Ellie?
Well, now, just a second. All right, Joe. Don't forget the gas.
I got plenty to take us out to the valley. I'll fill up at Bill's.
Dee-da-da. You remember how that song goes, Joe?
What song?
In the picture. You know, Two on the Moon. The one the boy sang to the girl.
Oh, that one. Let's see. Heck, I don't know.
Oh, well. We'll be hearing it again on the radio.
How about turning it on?
The radio?
Yeah.
Sure.
Set her around 1100. We ought to get some news in a few minutes. I'd like to hear whether they caught that fellow.
That awful mass murderer?
Uh-huh. They spotted him in L.A. this afternoon, but he got away.
I know. You told us at supper. It makes you shiver.
Don't worry. He won't get away with it. We left the lights of Beverly Hills behind and turned into Coldwater Canyon. It's as quick a way as any to get us across the Hollywood Hills to the valley. It's dark in the canyon, quiet, with mighty little traffic at night. I cut my lights up full and we swept up the side of the ridge. News program came on, but I didn't pay much attention. fellow was talking about brush fires. They'd already put out one near my place, though they were still patrolling it. We were over the ridge and sliding down to the valley before the program got to the part I wanted to hear.
There it is.
Pick it up higher, Ellie.
And now the latest news on the New Hampshire murderer. 2 weeks ago, Lewis Matrick wiped out an entire family in Greenlee, New Hampshire. Today, he was spotted 3,000 miles from the scene of his crime. At 5:30 this afternoon, a patrolman saw and definitely identified Matrick in downtown Los Angeles.
He is here.
However, by darting through heavy traffic at the risk of his life, the killer was again able to make his escape. According to neighbors of the slaughtered family, Matrick first appeared in Greenlee about a year ago. From fingerprints in the Nolan home, Lewis Matrick has been identified as Lloyd Matthews, ex-convict. He is wanted for questioning in the robbery and murder of a New York storekeeper a year ago.
Oh, my.
A crime that netted the killer less than $20.
Can you imagine?
Matrick, or Matthews, is 32 years old, height 5 feet 9 inches, weight 155 pounds. He has blue eyes, light brown hair, nose slanted to the left. When seen this afternoon, he was wearing a blue suit and a gray pork pie hat.
Awful. Awful.
Not pretty, no.
And he's somewhere around L.A. this minute. Joe?
Hmm?
You think it's right us leaving Annie and Bud all alone while we...
No, Ellen. Annie's grown up, and Bud's a smart youngster, if I do say so myself. You can't wrap kids in cotton wool.
I know. Oh, I'm silly, I guess. Neighbors close all around. All they'd have to do is yell. But what would make a young man do a dreadful thing like that?
Could be a lot of things. Maybe he's got a screw loose. Maybe he went nuts over a girl. Maybe he gets a kick out of killing like
you
some...
You know all the answers, don't you?
Joe!
Hey, what the... Keep going. Go on, keep going. I got a gun here, and I'll use it. Tell him, you.
Ellie?
Against the back of my neck. I can feel it. Cold.
Well, are you going to move?
Okay. Okay, brother.
Oh.
You're the boss.
You said it. I'm boss, and remember it. Otherwise, I'll blow a hole through your wife's head. I've had experience in these things.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Fibber McGee and Molly in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Harlow, I've got to run. My wife, Mary, just called up and said someone stole our Autolite resistor spark plugs right out of the engine of our car.
Gosh, Hap, I didn't know they were that precious. Skip along.
So long.
Oh, that Mary. What a girl. She's wonderful. I said to Hap the other day, she's got everything an Autolite resistor spark plug's got. Hap comes right back and says to me, has she got a 10,000 ohm resistor? Does she save me gas and money, Harlow? And then right away he says, tell me this. Does Mary improve radio and television reception? Well, by Cornelius, I couldn't stand it any longer. What's Mary got to do with that, I cried. Nothing, shouts the triumphant Hap. Right, I shout back, but by Cornelius, those sleek, slim, trim, smart, swift starting Autolite resistor spark plugs have. Why, when it comes to plugs, even mine, there's no plug as good as a set of Autolite resistor spark plugs. And those wonderful wonders are made by the Autolite Company, the marvelous makers of spark plugs, batteries, complete ignition systems, and over 400 automotive, aviation, and marine parts.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Fibber McGee and Molly in Backseat Driver, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I drove that car like we were skirting the rim of the Grand Canyon with nothing between us on the bottom but a mile of country air. This was it, the thing that happens to other people, to the ones that end up on slabs in the morgue. But not to me, not to Ellie. The first car we'd seen since we left traffic swooped down behind us. It passed, but not before the headlights caught our passenger clean in my rearview mirror. He was hunched forward, sitting on the edge of the back seat so he could keep the gun rammed into the nap of Ellie's neck. He had light brown hair, pale eyes, and a nose that slanted. His mouth twitched, jittery. As the car went by, his eyes caught mine in the mirror and flickered.
Keep your eyes on the road.
Sure. Lose your hat?
Bright boy. Like I said, you know all the answers. No, I didn't lose it. I stuffed it down a drain.
Still wearing the blue suit, though.
I figure to change pretty quick now. Think yours will fit me?
You can have the suit and the card.
Helen,
Just let it...
Helen.
Joe, it's Matrick.
The missus is bright, too.
He crawled in here while we were in the movie. Joe, you should have had the car door fixed. You know better.
Honey, I meant to. I was going to tend to that tomorrow.
Shut up. Let's see if you can both be bright enough to keep your trap shut. Turn left on Ventura. Take the slow lane. And don't try playing no tricks. I've been in this burg before.
Okay by me.
That's real white of you. Straight out the open country, Mac. Then I'll take the missus up on that offer of the suit and car.
What happens to us?
Why, you just walk home. What else? Play it safe, and you ain't got a thing to worry about.
That was a laugh, that was. Nothing to worry about. That'd kill you. Once we got out into open country, we'd have a chance of walking away from the car. All a murderer can hope for is time. He doesn't leave witnesses around to get the law on his tail 1 second sooner than necessary. All I could do was stall and pray and make what feeble gestures I could at Lady Luck. The thing that came into my mind was so risky it brought my hair up on end. But there was a chance, provided that trigger finger didn't start jerking. In the bright lights of the boulevard, I didn't think he'd notice, but a traffic officer would. I turned into Ventura and took the far lane, obedient as a whipped pup. Must have made 2 or 3 miles before I heard what I was hoping for.
What's that?
Huh? Oh, the siren? Why, an ambulance, I guess. We hear a lot of them.
That ain't no
here.
ambulance. It's a motorcycle cop.
Joe, it's young Mike Kennedy. He patrols this stretch.
What are you up to? What are you trying to pull?
Nothing. The kid's a friend of
Think
ours.
you can get me easy, huh? Well, I warned you. I ain't going alone. You asked for it.
Listen, will you? The kid lives near us. Practically grew up under our feet. All he wants is to pass the time of day or maybe send a message to our Annie.
Yeah?
Yeah. You start popping now and we'll all be dead. Keep your shirt on and I'll get rid of him.
Okay. But it better be good.
I pulled to the curb and Mike came up alongside. He sat balancing the bike between his knees, and the grin on his face was a mile wide. It had worked. At least we were still alive, and Mike wasn't 2 feet away. But where did we go from here? I had to think, but my brain was wet wool. My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth.
Well, what do you know if it isn't Uncle Joe?
Something funny, kid?
After all the times you've read us the riot act about observing the letter of the law. Oh, brother, wait till I tell Annie.
Mike Kennedy, what's the matter with you? I didn't notice anything wrong.
Hi, Aunt Ellie. Nothing much the matter. Just Uncle Joe here proceeding sedately out the boulevard with his headlights up full.
Headlights? By golly, that's right. I must have forgotten to, didn't I?
You oughtn't to forget those things, Joe. Someday a big, bad cop might come along and haul you off to the state. Hey, is that Annie back there?
No, it isn't.
It's our new neighbor, Mike, Mr. Anderson.
That right? Glad to meet you, sir.
Hello?
I didn't know there were any vacancies out our way.
Well, there weren't until recently. Mr. Anderson has taken over the Charles place.
The Charles place? Are you kidding?
No. Looks like things got too much for old man Charles at last. He's clearing out for good.
Kind of sudden, wasn't it?
I guess so.
Well, that's too bad. For old man Charles, I mean. Mighty nice for Mr. Anderson, though. Good places are hard to find these days. All right, Uncle Joe. I'll let you off this time. Give my love to Annie.
Mike.
Watch it.
Yes, sir?
Nothing. Just come see us soon, boy. Always glad to have you.
Thanks. I'll be around my next night off. I got a date with Annie. So long.
That was that. Mike turned his bike and headed back down the boulevard. The chance had come and gone. But it felt to me like half my mind went off with the boy yelling at him. Must have been half a minute before I could pull myself together and ease back into traffic. Nobody said anything. I didn't dare to, and neither did Ellie. I couldn't see her, but I could feel her holding herself stiff as a ramrod, scared even to turn her head. When two people have lived together as long as we have, each one knows what the other one is thinking. I went back to driving and praying. That and cutting my eyes up to the mirror, just in case there might be a white motorcycle eye following us. There wasn't, of course. Back in the back, I knew he was watching, too. Those flickering eyes darting like lightning between us and the rear window. He was too busy checking to talk. Not that that helped much. Rage and fear were pouring out of him so thick you could have grabbed a hunk of the atmosphere in your hand. It was queer to drive along like that on the crowded highway. Traffic streaming both ways. Lights from drugstores and cocktail joints and eating houses blazing to the sky. And to know if I lifted a finger for help, I'd sign our death warrants. It had to be luck. All luck. There was still a chance I'd get it. The way I figured it, we'd started out with just about enough gas to get us back to Bill's station. When we hit that, the meter ought to show empty. The gas gauge was hidden from me by the rim of the steering wheel, but I was pretty sure I was right. I waited until I saw the red and green lights above Bill's pumps a block and a half away. And very slow and easy, I slumped over for a peek at the gauge. I leaned just too far.
Sit up.
Sure.
What now? What were you looking at?
I was just easing the crick out of my neck.
Yes, you was. You was looking at the dash. You... Oh, so that's it. Fresh out of gas.
Look, I just remembered...
Don't give me that. You knew it all along. From now on, you keep your hands on the wheel, Mac, but leave me do the driving. Turn into that filling station. Get high-test gas and fill her up.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Bill.
Evening,
Hello,
Ellie.
Bill.
Oh, evening, sir. Up to the top?
Yeah, Ethel.
Ethel it is. Here you've been to the pictures, eh?
Uh-huh.
You people know everybody in the whole valley.
We've lived here 30 years, from back when this was just farmland. Of course, we know lots of people.
I don't like it. Get the gas and get out.
Say, I was up to Miranda's for supper.
That right?
Oh, boy, her chili gets better every time. Don't see how it can, but it does. She's saving some for you. Said you'd be around after the show.
Oh, my, I saw Miranda this afternoon and told her we'd be by for sure, Joe.
That'll be $3.50 on the nose.
$3 and $50. Thanks, Bill.
Yep, same to you.
What was all that about?
Nothing much.
Come on. I got to ask you everything twice.
Miranda runs a drive-in up the road a ways. On show nights, we usually drop in for a carton of chili to take home.
I just hope she won't call home when we don't show up and get Annie all worried.
Wait a minute. Drive-in, you said?
Yeah.
And Miss Miranda could start checking on you?
I didn't mean it like that. It's
She
just...
could call your Annie, and between the two of them, they'd have the cops on the lookout for you before midnight.
You're crazy.
Like a fox. I ain't kept ahead of the buttons all this time by taking chances. We'll just pick up that chili, Mac.
You want to go to Miranda's?
Why not? Leave Annie get a beauty sleep. I can cover a lot of ground before tomorrow morning. I ain't eaten so good lately, I could use the food, too. And with you and the missus to front for me? What's to worry about?
He was right about that. I went back to driving and praying. Miranda's place is one of those goldfish bowls, mostly glass with light pouring out across the space marked for outside service. She saw us pulling up, grabbed a quart carton off the back shelf, and hustled to the door.
Here you are, Ellie. I was just saying to Betsy. Better fix up that chili, Betsy. It's about time Ellie and Joe was showing up, figuring the distance from Beverly Hills.
Thank you, Miranda.
Who's that in the back seat? I don't seem to recollect your face, young man, though anybody will tell you I never forget a face.
Well, this is Mr. Anderson, Miranda. He just came out here from the east.
Oh, is that a fact? Say, Joe, you planning to go straight up Ventura home?
Sure, why?
Oh, don't you do it. Go the back way, even if it does take longer. Of course, the brush fire between here and your place is out, but there are still 50, 60 men patrolling it.
What's that?
Oh, but that ain't nothing to what's going on further out the valley. That new fire's clean out of control, licking up hundreds of acres. Well, they've been sending truckloads of firefighters past here all evening, and the road's blocked for miles,
The road's
they
blocked.
tell me. For miles, they tell me. And all them poor ranchers losing their homes. Being from the east, you wouldn't understand. but brush fires is awful things once they get out.
Thanks. Start moving. We take the back way to your house.
To our house?
What say? Oh, you staying with Ellie and Joe?
Yeah, until I can get into my own place. What are we waiting for?
Night, Miranda.
Well, goodbye. Be sure you come see me, Mr. Anderson. I'll be looking for you.
So there it was. We weren't going to the country. We weren't going to be left to rot at the foot of a cliff or buried deep in brush. No. We were going home. Home to the kids. Taking a murderer with us. I still couldn't see Ellie, but I could feel her tensing up. Tight as a pulled drawstring.
Mr. Matrick, you didn't mean what you said, did you, about coming home with us?
You know a better place I can hide out till the road's open?
But it wouldn't be safe. We've got neighbors close all around. If somebody sees you...
Nobody'll see me. Nobody better.
Joe, couldn't we get around the fire?
Yeah, that'd be better. We could try. There are other roads through the valley. Listen, Matrick, we'll nose around and find a way through somehow.
Cut it out. You heard the old biddy. Hundreds of acres burning. Firefighters, cops. Get off the highway. We're going home.
No, I won't have it. Joe, you stop the car right here.
Shut up.
You heard me, Joe. I won't have him in my house, not with Annie and Bud.
I said shut up!
For Lord's sake, Ellie.
It doesn't matter about us, but the kids, I won't let him...
One word out of you!
No, stop!
Ellen, hush.
Oh, Joe.
Don't say another thing. I'm sorry, honey, but Matrick's the boss. We gotta do like he says.
That's telling her. Sure. Do like I say, and everything will be rosy. You got no call to worry about the kids. I like kids. As long as nobody gives me the brush off. We'll wake them up soon as we get home. And you and Miss Annie can fix up a chilly supper for us. We'll have us a picnic. And then, as soon as the fire's out, we'll all take a trip to the country. Another picnic, huh?
You keep going. As long as you're breathing, you keep going. Even when it looks like there's no way out, you hang on by your toenails. We poked up and down those black valley streets that twist and turn and sometimes wind up in dead ends. Ellie stopped crying after a while. She slumped down with her head rolling on the seat back, limp as a rag doll with the stuffing leaked out. It took a long time, but it had to come to an end. I saw the bulk of the house looming up. There was light sneaking around the edges of the blinds up in Annie's room. She wasn't asleep after all. She'd be sitting up in bed, maybe plastering red stuff on her fingers and dreaming about the date with Mike. Bud's room was dark. He'd be wrapped in covers like in a cocoon and dreaming. Whatever boys dream, I couldn't remember. I pulled up to the concrete walk I'd poured with my own hands before there was any Annie or Bud, and I cut the lights. In a second or two, my eyes got used to the dark. I could make out the high hedge Ellie planted around the place, and the roof rising up beyond it.
Out, missus. Face the house. Now you, Mac. Slide out the same side. Stand beside her. Walk to the door. Slow and no funny business. I'm right behind you.
Look out, Joe.
Lie down!
Hold him, boys.
It's okay, Mike. Got him.
You all right, Uncle Joe? And Ellie?
Ellie. Ellie, honey, you all right?
All right, indeed. Smack flat on my face on a concrete walk and you falling on me.
Nothing wrong with her.
That's my girl.
Oh, well, don't just stand there. Help me up.
Here you are.
Oh, I've got to get in the house before the kids come busting out here. I won't have them mixed up in this.
Well, how's he doing, boys?
Got him through the gun hand on the right shoulder. See?
A lucky shot, copper. If you weren't lucky, you'd all be cold meat now.
Maybe. Matrick, isn't it, Uncle Joe?
That's him. Miranda described him to you, eh?
The old girl didn't miss a trick. She even knew you were taking the back way home. You left a clear trail, Uncle Joe. Slick work.
I had to get him out of the car before the fireworks started. Ellie didn't stand a chance. She helped, though. Ellie catches on quick.
I'll bet.
A mean guy like Matrick. Make him think you don't want to do something, and he'll break his neck doing it. I let on I was trying to run out of gas. That got us to Bill's. Then we both made out there was no sense going to Miranda's, so we got bullied into going to Miranda's. It was 1,000 to 1 she'd run off at the mouth about the brush fires and scare him into hiding out. After that, all Ellie had to do was turn on the hysterics. He was dead set on coming here.
Bright boy, like I said.
Bright enough. You did all right, too, Mike. I was watching the rearview mirror all the time you were tailing us, but you never showed.
You knew I was there, though. When one officer starts double-talking another officer, he wants to know why.
Officer, double talk. You never said a thing to him except that I bought some place out here.
Yeah, the Charles place.
Poor old man Charles. In a tough spot and moving out for good.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Matrick, didn't anybody ever tell you it wasn't smart to take up with strangers? Maybe I'd better introduce myself. The name's Charles. Joe Charles. Detective, homicide. Tonight I was off duty and was just taking my wife to a movie.
Thank you, Fibber McGee and Molly, for a splendid performance.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bud. We're not used to doing a show with a gun stuck in our backs.
No.
We're used to doing them with Jack Benny breathing down our necks. Or vice versa. But that guy over there, he looks familiar.
Why, dearie, that's Mr. Wilcox.
Old Waxy himself? The guy that sells Johnson's wax on our Tuesday show?
Not Waxy on Thursdays, dearie. Sparky.
Sparky, eh? Well, what do you know? Hey, Junior.
Hello, Fibber. Hello, Molly.
Hello, Mr. Wilcox.
Say, you two were terrific tonight. Tell me, did you drive over from Wistful Vista?
Uh-oh. Molly, I'm afraid to answer that.
Because if you did, I hope your car had Autolite resistor spark plugs.
See what I mean?
And listen, pal, if I were you, I'd stop and see an Autolite serviceman on the way home. That old bull
Listen,
of yours...
Waxy, Sparky, you don't have to tell me where to stop. I stopped on the way over. Why, those masterful miracles of manufacturing magnificent...
Oh, now, McGee, that's Mr. Wilcox's story. Let him tell it.
Well, what Fibber means is that Autolite parts are original factory parts. Autolite parts and service and your car go together like McGee and Molly, Hap and Harlow, Amos and Andy. So when you replace worn-out parts, visit your Autolite service station or the dealer who sells your make of car and ask for original factory parts and service. Leading cars use them all. Autolite makes them all. Be right. Get Autolite parts and service.
Just a minute, Fibber and Molly. Don't go away.
Oh, that's right. You want us to say that word.
If you please.
Oh, yes. Well, go ahead, McGee.
No, you say it, Molly.
Well, why don't we both say it then?
Okay. Well, I know you're going to want to hear radio's outstanding theater of thrills next week because Charles Lawton is going to be on the program.
Yes, and in a famous story by John Collier called De Mortius. And it's another gripping study in...
Suspense.
Tonight's suspense play was by Sally Thorson with music composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as James Mason, Jane Wyman, and many others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And next Thursday, same time, hear Charles Lawton in De Mortius.
find Autolite service stations listed in your classified telephone directory under automotive electrical equipment. You're right with Autolite.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Charles Lawton in De Mortuis, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Friends, the Autolite Company also presents the Autolite Stay Full Battery, a powerful package for practical people who prefer pep and performance. Why, by Cornelius, the Autolite Stay Full Battery is so different, delightful, and lacking in thirst, it needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Yes, sir, Autolite Stay Full is the battery with the big, buoyant reservoir that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. An Autolite Stay Full battery has an extra ample sample of Aquapura. It's as full of H2O as a Florida orange is full of juice, a Texas grapefruit full of succulent sap. So, friends, here's the pitch. Be right with Autolite. Switch to an Autolite Stay Full battery tomorrow.
And now, Autolite presents Charles Lawton in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Now a bit more there. A touch of smoothing here. And that's a job well done. Well, it's not a bad job for the village medico. I don't think a mason could have done better. Until the concrete hardens, I better...
Dr. Ragin! Hello! Dr. Ragin! Looks like there's no one home.
Must be someone here. Nobody goes out and leaves the house open.
Oh, Dr. Wood, he just people. Oh, we'd better give it up, George.
You'd think Irene would be about.
She ought to be. By the looks of things.
But she's a bad one. I saw her again only last night with that commercial traveler.
George. Doctor might be downstairs. The cellar door is open. You think it's rooted. Oh, Doctor. There you are. Didn't you hear us?
I thought I heard someone. I wasn't sure.
Well, we were going out after some partridge, and I thought you'd like to come along. We wouldn't have come in the house, only George thought that, seeing as the door was open and all, that someone was home.
Aye.
So we walked in, and then I saw the cellar door open, and down we came. Hey, where's Irene?
Irene? Oh, she's gone visiting.
Oh, well, then let's go shooting. Wet concrete. Going in for a bit of masonry, Doc?
There's been some water seeping up through this floor. It's an underground spring, perhaps.
Underground spring? Why, Doc, I sold you this house, but I never heard of a spring beneath it.
Doc, it looks as though Greg built you. He did.
Not Doc, I didn't. You know, when he came up from London a year ago, I could tell right away that he was a fine fella. When he and Irene wanted to get married, I sold him the best house in the village.
Now, maybe it was only the rains, Greg.
Well, I don't know. You certainly went deep enough, Doc. Right. You see, you got a bit of clay on your shovel.
That's 4 feet down, the clay.
18 inches, George.
Not according to the maps. 4 feet, it says on the Sudbury maps.
Well, there's no need to argue the toss. Let's get on with our fowling before the partridge gets tired of waiting, eh, Doc?
Well, not today, boys. I've got things to do.
Oh. Well, then we might as well get along. How's Irene?
Oh, she's never been better. She took the afternoon train to North Walsham.
To North Walsham? Well, there's no afternoon train to North Walsham. No more than the clay is only 18...
Did I say North Walsham? I meant Norwich.
Oh, you friends in Norwich, Doc?
Mrs. Slater. She lived next door when Irene was just a child, over on Victoria Cross.
Slater? Next door to Irene? No.
Oh, that was a long time ago, Greg.
Oh, well, I've been in Sudbury all my life, and I've known Irene all my life. Never any Slaters on Victoria Cross. Right, George?
Aye. I lived on Victoria Cross myself. Clay's 4 feet down there, same as here.
Now, let's drop the whole thing. Maybe the woman married again, and that's why you don't recognize the name.
Oh, well, maybe. Well, you better change your mind about the hunting, Doc. Your wife's away on a visit. You just finished filling a hole in the cellar and... Oh, good heavens, Doc. You didn't.
4 feet down to the clay, that's what it is.
What are you two fools talking about?
Oh, it's not that you didn't have provocation, Doc. We know that.
Provocation? Are you suggesting that You stupid fools, you go get the constable and let him start digging.
Oh, now, hold on, Doc. It's not as if we mind. If it could ever be called justified, this is it.
Aye.
We could have told you. I warned you about the bad houses to buy, not half I did. But when it comes to marriage, well, we all knew, Irene.
The Sudbury baggage. That's what we used to call it.
And when a fine chap like you comes along and fixes to marry her, well, you want to say something, but what? But what, I ask you?
It's not like buying a house, it ain't.
I suppose I am rather old for Irene.
Oh, you could be a young'un and it'll be just the same thing, Doc.
Well, not everyone wants the same thing. I'm a sort of a dry chap, and I don't open up easily. And Irene, well, you'd call her kind of gay.
Aye, that's one
She's
word.
no housekeeper, I know that, and that's not the only thing a man wants. She enjoys herself.
That she did.
And that's what I love about her. She's not very deep mentally. Well, all right, you can say she's stupid. I don't care. She's lazy, no system. Well, I've got plenty of system, enough for both of us. She's enjoyed herself, and is beautiful and innocent, like a child.
If that was all...
But you two seem to know that there was more.
Why, everyone knows it. George, you just tell him what you saw at the pub.
Aye, you know me, Doc. I'm no pub crawler. I'm a single potter. But every night the past week, when I've gone in for my pot of ale, she's been there, and with that Harry Manning, the commercial traveller, who's been at the Lion. Everybody's seen her.
The village will be on your side, Doc.
Why?
And not that it'll mean much if it comes to a trial.
What shall I do?
Well, we all make mistakes, Doc. You know, in a way, we got you into it by not saying anything before you married her. And the way I see it, well, it's sort of up to us to help get you out of it. That right, George?
Aye. Still, there's such a thing as being an accomplice.
No, not the way we'll do it. When we came in here, the street was empty, wasn't it?
Aye.
And we haven't been down in the cellar. You get that, Doc? We shouted upstairs, but when you didn't answer, we went on after Partridge. We never came down in this cellar.
I wish you hadn't.
Now, all you have to do, Doc, is say that Irene went for a walk and never come back. And George and I'll say it we saw her driving away with this commercial traveller. What's his name, George?
Harry Manning. He was paying his score at the Lion this morning, so I guess he's moving on.
The whole village knows about him and Irene. What? So they'll believe that she might leave with him. So, well, we better nip off now. We'll go out the back way. I'd cover up that first cement if I were you, Doc.
Aye, and don't be telling folks the clay is only 18 inches down.
The whole village knows about this? Oh, no. Why did they have to come down here? Why can't they keep their mouths shut? Why tell the patient he has a cancer? Why?
I'm back.
I'm down here, Irene.
Oh, can you beat it? I missed the train.
Oh? Which way did you come back?
I walked across the field. How do you think? It's quite far to the village. If you're driving to Colchester, maybe I can catch the train there.
Maybe. Did you meet anyone coming back?
Aren't you finished with that dirty job yet?
No. No, I'm afraid that I shall have to take up this floor again. Come on down here, dear. I'll show you.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Charles Lawton in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hap, during that bitter cold spell...
Oh, no. Cold spell? Why, this is Southern California.
I was in Montana, where zero is another name for prickly heat. Well, I was telling a fellow about how to get summertime operation out of his car. By Cornelius, I said, get one of those Autolite Stay Full batteries with the extra liquid reserve. Friend, there's enough extra water in an Autolite Stay Full battery to irrigate Death Valley or make a rainstorm in the Sahara.
Oh, not that much, huh?
Grabbing his arm, I said, those Autolite Stay Full batteries need water only 3 times a year. Yes, sir, only 3 times a year in normal car use. And hanging on to his muffler...
Muffler? Well, what kind?
The double-chested kind in Montana.
Oh.
And I told him the extra plates in an Autolite Stay Full battery mean this rugged receptacle has a rapid response and a raft of reserve. And then I said, as the button pulled off his coat, Autolite Stay Full batteries.
Carlo, that's my coat.
Oh, sorry, Hap. Here's your button. Autolite Stay Full batteries are just another one of the 400 automotive, aviation, and marine parts from one of the 28 plants of the Autolite Company.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Charles Lawton in De Mortuis, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
There you are, Mrs. Green. Be sure you come back next week for another injection, and we'll have you feeling fit in no time.
Well, how much will they be, these injections, Doctor?
3 shillings apiece, Mrs. Green. Now, there's no need to pay it right away. We'll see about that later.
Oh, now, that's just like you. Always doing something for others with never a thought for yourself. You know, Doctor, I was talking to Mrs. Fox about you only the other day.
Oh, yes?
It's no good, I says, for a man to be living alone. Say what you will about it. A year it is now since that, she left you. Good riddance it was. And it's time you was looking about.
You mean to say it's really a year since Irene left? You know, the time seems much shorter than that.
You know, it's not that we held with divorce, Doctor. But if there was ever a man justified, you're that man.
Justified, you said? You know, it's very odd how a word like that keeps being mentioned. Mrs. Green, I know that you mean well. I'd rather not talk about it if you don't mind.
Well, a body can't help
Yes,
thinking.
I'm sure of that. Now, you come in again next week for your injection, and don't you forget.
I won't do this, Doctor, and you think I will...
Good day, Mrs. Green. Yes?
You the doc.
Yes, I'm Dr. Rankin. Won't you come in?
Don't mind if I do.
Now, what seems the trouble, Mr.
Manning, Harry Manning.
Harry Manning, your name seems familiar.
Yeah, I dare say. I'm a commercial traveler. Most of the boys around the villages know me.
And a few of the women, I suppose.
Well, I wouldn't say no, Doctor. You know how it is.
I suppose I do. Now, what did you say was wrong, Mr. Manning?
Well, I don't rightly know, Doc. Just feeling a bit under the weather. Hit me just as I was driving into Sudbury. So I looked for the nearest doctor, and here I am.
So I see. Well, I think I'd better examine you, Mr. Manning. Would you remove your shirt, please?
Yeah.
Have you been in Sudbury before, Mr. Manning?
Yeah, once a year, Doc, as regular as the calendar. It's a fine little place.
Did you say that you just arrived? You haven't checked in at the inn yet?
You're my first stop, Doc. Like I said, I was feeling a bit under the weather, and I wanted to check up on it. You see, I wanted to look up an old friend here. I felt I'd better be feeling just right. Si, maybe you know her, Doc. A downy bit by the name of Irene.
Irene? I don't believe I know her. What was her last name? Would you breathe a little deeper, please?
You know, she never did tell me her last name. I got the idea she was hammered for proper.
Hammered?
Yeah, married. Didn't want her old man to know she was out seeing life. Oh, she was a real live chicken, a neat one she was.
I'm afraid that I never knew your Irene.
Well, I can probably find her by asking down at the pub. They'll know her.
No doubt. I imagine you're anxious to find her.
You said it, Doc. As soon as you put me to rights, I'll sign in at the Lion, then I'll pop her out the pub.
Of course. How long has it been since you've seen a doctor?
Oh, 4 or 5 years. All right. What you trying to tell me, Doc?
I'm afraid, Mr. Manning, that your heart is not in the best of condition.
Oh, are you trying to tell me that I'm going to pop off?
You might live many years, Mr. Manning, but if I were you, I would avoid any sort of excitement. In the meantime, I'll give you something that will give you temporary relief.
You wouldn't be kidding me, would you, Doc?
Kidding, Mr. Manning?
You know, pulling me leg?
Not at all. You may put your shirt on, Mr. Manning.
How long have I got, Doc? Give it to me straight.
Well, that might be difficult to say, Mr. Manning. So many things must be considered in a case like yours. I would say that how long you live depends on the way that you follow my advice.
Well, I'll do anything you say, Doc.
Fine. First of all, I want you to take this capsule. Here's some water.
Oh, all right. How often do I take them, Doc?
I think that one will fix you up for the time. If it doesn't, just come back. I'll give you another one.
You mean that just one will do the trick? Say, that's great, Doc. How much do I owe you?
2 shillings.
2 shillings? Certainly reasonable enough. I thought it'd be at least a quid. Here you are.
Thank you. With that medicine to fix you up, Mr. Manning, you should have no trouble at all finding your Irene.
Are you busy, Doc?
Hello, George. Come on in.
Who was the bloke leaving your office before, Doc? He looked familiar.
He's a commercial traveler. He said his name was Harry Manning.
I could have... Harry Manning. He's the one.
I believe that he is the gentleman that you and Greg have mentioned several times.
What did he want?
A doctor, strangely enough. He wasn't feeling very well.
Did he know who you were?
That I was a doctor, yes.
No more?
No.
He'll be going straight to the pub, won't he?
I imagine he will. Although I told him to avoid excitement, he has a bit of a bad heart.
Aye?
Now, what's wrong with you, George? Or is this a social call?
A bit of both, Doc. We've been friends for a long time.
Ever since I arrived in Sudbury, I suppose in a way you and Greg are the only friends I've had.
That's what I've had in mind, I did. You see, Doc, I'm in a spot of trouble, and I thought you might want to give me a hand.
Gladly if I can. What's the trouble, George?
Well, money troubles, Doc. I have a lot of bills that must be paid.
If you're talking about my bill, George, you should know that I won't press you.
Oh, I wasn't worrying about that. The truth is, Doctor, I need about 100 quid.
Yikes. £100?
And I was thinking maybe you might loan it to me.
I would if I had it, George, but you know that I'm not one of those Harley Street toughs. My patients pay 2 or 3 shillings, when they can pay.
You could raise it, maybe.
Perhaps, but I think that you could find a loan easier than I could, George. You've lived around here all your life.
Aye, and I know what I know. It's 4 feet down to the clay. That's what it is.
I see. You, Dr. Rankin?
Gregory here, Doc. Thought maybe you'd like to go out after some partridge this afternoon.
No, Greg, I don't think that... Yes. Yes, I might. I might at that. It's doing me good to get away from the office. And George is here now. Perhaps he'll go with us. Would you hold on? It's Greg, George. He wants to go hunting. What do you say?
What about my 100 quid?
Oh, I think I can help you, George. But what about the hunting?
I don't care if I do.
Fine. George will go with us, too. It'll be like old times, huh?
Good. All right, meet at my place.
I know. There's nothing like old friends getting together, is there, George?
Aye.
Especially when they can help each other. I'll get the money for you. Somewhere or other, considering the cause, I guess we might say that almost any method is justified.
Heel, boy. Well, there's a bit of a chill today. Should mean a good bag.
You and George must have gotten chilled waiting for me. I'm sorry I was a bit late.
Oh, well, couldn't be helped. What was the call?
Commercial traveler. He had a heart attack on the street.
That wouldn't be the same one that was coming out of your office today, would it, Doc?
Yes, it was the same man.
Well, fancy that. It'd be funny, Doc, if it turned out you gave him the wrong medicine by mistake.
I never prescribe mistakes, George. You, might as well let the dog go, Greg. We're coming to a good spot.
I'll bet off to the left. You two can keep to the right.
All right, boy. Flush 'em.
I'll lay you a quid, I bet, more than a you.
Done, George.
Hey, Doctor, George seems a little nervy today, like he had the wind up about something. You got an idea what's wrong?
No, he seemed all right when he was at my office earlier. Hey, look, the dog's struck a point.
Ah, that he has.
I'll swing to the right, Greg. That way we'll have them between George and myself. And you'll have them in front. All right, Greg.
Flush 'em, boy.
Hey, Doc! George! I got 2 of them.
Doc, that first shot, I think it hit George.
What? Good heavens. George.
Oh, only 100 quid. That's no cause to...
I tried to stop you, Doc. I could see your gun wasn't swinging high enough.
I thought I was aiming high. But I wanted to hit the birds before they scattered. God help me.
Oh, Lord. Look at the blood on him. Well, can't you do something for him, Doc?
I'm afraid I can't help him now, Greg. He's dead. Sit down, Greg. I'll fix some drinks.
He was no more than 30 feet away. Just standing there waiting for the birds to flush.
I should have seen him. Was that what you meant, George?
No, I didn't say that, Doc. No, I was just thinking.
Yes, I know how it is. Here's your drink.
Thanks. No, I just couldn't drink. Not yet. Doc, I want to ask you something.
Of course. What is it, Greg?
That commercial traveler who had the heart attack, the one that George mentioned, was his name Harry Manning?
I believe it was, now that you mention it. It was something like that.
Oh, I see. Doc, why don't you leave Sudbury? Go to some other village. England's full of quiet little villages where a doctor can build up a good practice.
But I already live in such a village, Greg. I like Sudbury, and I have certain plans.
But, Doc, it may be dangerous for you if you stay.
Are you threatening me, Greg?
No, of course not. Only
A man, especially at my age, can't simply pick himself up and start all over again. I've spent a great deal here, not only of money, but of myself. I like this place and its people, most of them.
I know, Doc. I understand, but...
As for the danger, I believe that I can take care of that. Do you remember my cellar, Greg?
Your cellar? What about
Well,
it?
it's hardly a cellar now. I've turned it into a research laboratory. It's full of the best equipment. Come on, I'll show you.
Oh, no, not now, Doc. Some other
now,
time.
Greg, you're my friend, my only friend now that George is gone. I want you to see it.
No, Doc,
Now, come on, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, you... What are you talking about? You haven't done anything to the cellar. It's just the same as it was that day. Here, I'm going to... Out!
You done what, Greg?
What did you do? What did you stick with me with?
A hypodermic needle, Greg. It's an honorable symbol of my profession. And don't try to leave, Greg. You'll never make the stairway. Now, you see...
Have you killed me?
Not yet, Greg. Now, do you feel that I have to kill you, that you know too much and you suspect even more? Got too many secrets to keep to yourself. Is that it, Greg?
You did kill that commercial traveler. And then you got to worrying about what George and I knew. Mm-hmm. And so you killed George, and now you're going to kill me. I should have turned you in a year ago.
Yes, you should have, Greg. You see, there was water seeping through the floor. I did find clay only 18 inches down. When you came in that day, I didn't know anything about Irene except that I loved her and was happy.
What do you mean? You mean that Irene wasn't?
No. Irene was not dead then. You see, Greg, if anyone is guilty of murder, it is you and George. You killed my happiness. It was you who killed Irene through my hand, and it was you who brought up the commercial traveler. Although it was my medicine, it was you who killed him, as surely as if you'd struck him down in the street.
It was yours.
Now, George wanted to transfer his secret to his wallet. And you, Greg, when the secret became 3 secrets, you found it too heavy for you.
Oh, you're mad, Doctor. You'll never get away with it. With all of it.
I came to Sudbury wanting to serve it, to share the sickness and the poverty as well as the simple day-to-day existence of all of you. I asked no more than that. I wanted.
Help me, you
quiet. I won't have you spoil things now.
Dr. Rankin. Well, he's here. There's no doubt about it. The door was open. Unless he went out on a hurry call. Dr. Rankin. It's Constable Saunders. I guess he is out. There's no great hurry on this anyway, Constable. Why don't I come back in the morning? All right. Come along.
Well, that's all right indeed. By tomorrow morning when they return, there won't be a trace of you left, and I'll be free and safe, and no one will ever be the wiser. What on earth, sir?
I tell you, Jones, I saw the cellar light on just as we turned the corner. There. You see? The light under the door there. Well, what you are, sir? Must be down in the cellar. Didn't hear it. Dr. Rankin? Oh, glad I raised you, Doctor. You forgot to sign the death certificate on that commercial traveler today. I say, what are you doing down there, Doctor?
I'm, well, you might as well come down the rest of the way, Constable. And I'll show you.
Thank you, Charles Lawton, for a splendid performance.
Say, Harlow, before Charles Lawton returns,
Won't you tell everyone the advice you have for them?
All right, Hap. Friends, get a dandy, dynamic, dependable Autolite Stay Full battery with an extra water reserve. It's power-packed for pep and performance in sun, snow, sleet, or suspense.
You forgot another S, Harlow. Service.
Service indeed, Hap, and that reminds me, Autolite makes complete electrical systems for many makes of America's finest cars. Generators, batteries, starting motors, coils, distributors, all ignition engineered to meet the highest standards of leading automotive engineers. So, folks, tomorrow's the day to treat your car to an expert motor tune-up. Visit your local Autolite service station listed in your classified telephone directory, or the dealer who sells your make of car, and be sure to specify original factory parts, the lifeline of your car. Always remember, Autolite means batteries.
Stay full batteries.
Autolite means spark plugs.
Ignition engineered resistor spark plugs.
Autolite means ignition systems.
The lifeline of your car.
And now here again is Mr. Charles Lawton.
I am very happy to have had this opportunity of working again with Tony Leader on Suspense again. It has meant working in a story which has been a favorite of mine. Dame Mortius has long been a well-loved story, but next week you will be hearing the story of a current novel, when radio's outstanding theater of thrills will bring you Miss Jane Wyman. Wonderful. In a special adaptation of Pat McGurr's Catch Me If You Can. Another gripping study in
Suspense.
Charles Lawton will soon be seen in the A&T film production The Man in the Eiffel Tower. Tonight's suspense play was by John Collier and was adapted for radio by Ken Crossan. Music was composed by Lucian Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as James Mason, Van Heflin, Jimmy Stewart, and many others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And remember, next Thursday, hear Miss Jane Wyman in Catch Me If You Can.
You'll find Autolite battery dealers listed in your classified telephone directory under batteries. You're right with Autolite.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.